lot of people love the movie. A lot of people have torn it apart. A lot of people are like, this character's so unlikable. Like, if you're not polarizing people with a sensitive topic, then you're not saying anything.
Hello, welcome to You're Not Gonna Make It. My name is Nico. I'm a filmmaker from Argentina based in Los Angeles. You're Not Gonna Make It is a podcast about surviving your career's expectations, where I sit down with successful people to debunk their seemingly perfect professional lives and try to find out what making it really means for them and for me. And I'm trying to have honest conversations. And today is a special one because my guest is Alex Heller. And I met Alex at Aspen Short Fest this year, and she was presenting her short film Holiday House. And I was blown away by this film. I thought it was insane and hilarious and weird and everything I want from a film. And then I got to watch The Year Between, which is Alex's first feature film that she wrote, acted, and directed, which is insane. And I don't know where to start with this film. First of all, it's just an incredible film. It has a crazy cast. Alex plays this character, Clemens, who's struggling with bipolar disorder. She's diagnosed. And she's the protagonist alongside with this crazy cast. Steve Buscemi is her dad, and J. Smith Cameron is her mom from Succession, an amazing actor. And like everything that Alex does, this is a masterclass about tonal balance. She walks this very, very hard tightrope between scenes that are cringy, hilarious, heartbreaking, all at the same time. And I'm so excited to talk about her experience doing feature films and short films and how her process is. And in addition to that, I really want to ask her about how she managed to stay so vulnerable in her performance and her writing. So I'm very excited about this talk, and I hope you like it too. So this is my conversation with Alex Heller. Hi, Alex.
Hey, what's up, Nico? How you doing?
We were just doing the small talk, but I feel like I want to stretch the small talk because it was fun. So when was the last time I saw you? Was it in Aspen or in
I think I saw you
Palm Springs?
Palm Springs, yeah.
Okay. So for context, we've both been having a similar journey with our short films. We presented short films this year. Where did you premiere? Was it Aspen?
Aspen. Yeah.
And then we went on to Palm Springs and a bunch of other festivals. And now we're online at Staff Peak, which is not nothing.
Yes.
I'm excited. Just to show you how much of a pit of disappointment I am, I complained to Staff Peak.
What do you mean? What did you do? Like, I'm scared.
This is like a vulnerable moment. So because we were in conversation, and my expectation was that they would do short, like there's some sort of feature short thing. And when I was just Staff Pick, I was disappointed, and that goes to tell you how much of a person that can never be happy I am. And in situations like this, like Staff Pick, which I with a short film, which is nothing, never happened before to me. Like when it happens, it's just not enough. And it's part of a theme of this.
Are you talking about Staff premieres?
It's never enough. So you always have something else to complain about. And that's kind of like this, just to set the tone for this conversation and the theme of the podcast is that it's never like, if you're not happy now, like it's not going to happen. It's not, you're not going to get better.
Definitely. That is
not fix you.
No, that's been a huge journey for me, like, and point of reckoning. So I'm excited to get into it with you.
I hope Staff Pick was a happy moment for you, but tell me a little bit about the short, and I want to talk about the feature after.
Yeah, so basically, it's a little bit related to the feature, not to get too far into that, but my feature came out on Peacock last May. So like May 1st, like the very beginning of the writer's strike. And it was kind of a tumultuous time in the business. Maybe we couldn't exactly promote it the way we were hoping. And also the professional opportunities that I expected to be like rolling in with the release of the movie, like some of them were there and then dried up with the strike. And then also, like, I don't think there were just ever as many as I expected there were. Like, I thought
for where I'm standing, that is the best case scenario for the kind of movie we're going for, right? Because you have an indie movie that you wrote and directed and acted on it alongside Steve Buscemi. Like, it's crazy. Like, the fact that you gathered that cast. So whatever it didn't happen because the world was broken.
Yeah, so I don't know, because I had been clawing my way to develop that feature for 7 years before it was made. Like, that was my entire 20s. I was living with my parents, trying to apply to every damn thing under the sun, and just, yeah, that's the whole journey. I'm sure we'll touch on that, of like the journey of putting the money together and financing and developing the movie. But basically, I had such a hope. I'm like, all I need to do is get this movie made, and then I'll be like set, and then my career will be at a different stage what I want it to be. And there is some truth to that. But that moment of reckoning, when the movie finally was like out in the world and had gotten positive reviews from the New York Times, etc., and the stuff I hoped would happen to some extent did, like, it's exactly what you're saying, this emotion of like, wait, but I am unfulfilled or something. Like, I wasn't, it wasn't enough. It was really hard for me. And again, I chased it for so many years that I think just the sheer amount of weight of it actually happening just left me in this pit of like, well, what is my purpose now? And so that truly is set the scene for me making Holiday House, because I was like, had been on this hamster wheel of the movie, which, by the way, I don't mean to speak disparagingly of it. Like, it was an opportunity of a lifetime and I gained so much from it. And I'm so, so proud of the feature. So, like, that aside, emotionally, I was just like, what now? And then I was like, I just gathered a couple friends. I'm like, this is what I know. I know how to gather a couple friends and make a very small budget passion project about something that maybe is niche and I care about. And then I build dollhouses. So that's how I made it. I made it in my apartment, and it was really fun. And it was really fun to depart from the comedic tone that I think most people who know me or know my work expect of me, especially after the year between. Like, it's not this, brash, dark comedy. It's something kind of different. So that was fun to deviate from that too.
Um, since we started with the feature, let's just go chronologically and just develop that a little further. So
Mm-hmm.
you wrote the script, and you started doing pushing the boulder up the hill, like trying to get you. Basically, were you rep? Did you have
No,
general meetings? No, you just have a
no,
script. How is the
yeah.
journey of like finishing the script to getting that amazing cast and getting to the financing to do the movie?
Oh my God. Well, I'll try to condense it because it's a long journey. Like, it was not an overnight discovery or success story or anything like that. So the movie Year Between is like a semi-autobiographical story about a college student who is diagnosed with bipolar disorder and leaves college. And that is based on an experience I had. I went back to school, and I studied film, and my senior year was in a class where I had to write a feature. So I wrote the first draft of The Year Between, which was kind of this like cathartic diary entry. I didn't think anyone but my professor would ever read it. And my professor was the first person who was like, oh, this was meaningful to me. It really touched me. And I was surprised by that. And then I graduated and was like working in bars and restaurants and like trying to figure out how to get health insurance. And I kind of just kept like, yeah, as you do. I was not this like, I am hitting the ground running. Oh, I'm in Chicago, by the way. I'm like not, and I've never even been to LA.
To this day,
And so this day, I live
that would be fun.
I live here and I still haven't been here. You know what I mean? So, I think I was kind of like letting more and more people read it and just like loving that affirmation that I really did not expect to have. And people are like, and also I never talked about being bipolar. Like, it's just not, it was a very private thing for me. So to go into like writing about it and then talking about it was like this weird experience mentally. And then basically my friend was interning at a small nonprofit production company in Chicago, very small, and connected me with a producer there who loved it. And we were like, how do we find $100,000 to make this movie? And I'm like, that's more money than I can ever fathom. I can never do that. So I was like, I need to make it for $5 in my backyard, So that had previously been my thought. But anyway, we're like, okay, the road to a micro budget, ultra low budget indie is to like get some sort of laurels or like lab or recognition. So we thought. And so I made a bunch of short films in my 20s, like 10 or something. And none of them got into a big festival. Like most of them never played anywhere. They were just like on the internet, but I was just making stuff. So I didn't have that going for me. And then, which by the way, like I'm not
Have you ever
at work. Yeah.
have you ever directed one of those shorts, or were you
Oh yeah.
as an actor?
Yeah, I was directing and editing, a lot of them. I didn't edit all of them, but I feel like learning how to edit was such a huge part of my journey. I'm sure you can
Yes, I can tell by their work.
Yeah.
No, but it's just watching your work, that we're going to talk about balancing tones, because I think one of your amazing superpowers is to be able to balance scenes that had this cringe element to it, and then they become heartfelt, and then they become hilarious. Like that change it's a tightrope, but it's very hard to make work. And I think shines when you do that. And so the work of an editor will understand, I think, the rhythm and the pace of things like that for it to make sense.
You are so nice. I feel so seen and complimented, so thank you.
Not truly,
I'm such a fan of you, so it really means a lot. Like I love your work.
Thank you.
And so I'm applying all these dang labs and programs and the Sundance stuff and the other smaller things. I'm not getting anything. Shocker, and I was just like, all right, well, this road of like get into a thing and wait, become shiny and like someone will bestow $1 million on you is not viable for me. So, also I'm living in the Midwest with my parents. I don't even know what like an agent is. I don't even, I know, I don't know a lawyer. I don't know I don't know shit about anything. So, then a key thing that happened was, I think it was really important, and I tell people this who are like, how do I finance low budget indie? I'm like, don't overlook like the small community events. Like everyone applies to the Sundance Lab, but then there's like these little labs and these little tiny like meetups and things that seem like, oh, that's probably weird. I don't want to do that. But then it's like you do some of those things and you meet people. It's a slow process, but you build your network. And so a key thing for me was I did this pitch at the Chicago Film Festival, which is no like sniff. It's not like, oh, this tiny thing no one's heard of, but it was a really like sort of small program at the time. I don't think I had to like apply. I just like participated, and I didn't win this pitch. But one of the judges, Amy Hobby, at the time ran the Tribeca Film Institute, which no longer exists in the way it once did, but they like had a bunch of programs and stuff, and she really connected with my project. She was like, you should apply for these things at Tribeca. So that was kind of the first, not the first, the first key connect was my Chicago producer, but then meeting Amy Hobby from Tribeca was very key, because then I did apply to that stuff and I did get in. And I'm not saying like my script wasn't good. I have faith in it, but I also like knew someone at that point, which I am very, I really believe that is important, and I think anyone who tells you otherwise is like delusional or like lying. No, just kidding. But no, I'm trying not to sound like bad. Like I just don't know how. What
you're sounding great.
I usually don't want to do stuff like this because I fear having a record of the things I say. Because I sometimes like say stuff that's inappropriate and I regret it.
Nobody will watch this, so you're very safe. You're very safe. Okay. No, I mean, but it does. I mean, the struggles of making a movie will be familiar with a lot of people. And it's crazy because you have to choose your strategies. Like your time is limited, your resources are limited, even for applying to these things, you got to have a strategy. And sometimes everybody is making the line for those big grants or labs. Yes. And so that becomes impossible. It's just the abstraction of the sheer numbers of applications makes it impossible. It's not about quality. It's not about anything. It's just you get lost. Especially with a script. I feel like a script is such a hard thing to sell if you don't have something to back it up, like a proof of concept that has been successful or something.
Right.
So it's very interesting. So that led to how did that led to the I'm really
Yeah.
interested about the financing and the casting of the film.
Yes. Yes. So at this point, I participated in this pitch called Untold Stories at Tribeca. It still exists. It was in
Mm.
its second year then, but it's basically 5 indie projects pitched for $1 million grant to make their movie and then premiered Tribeca the following year. We didn't get it. So once again, we did this thing where we didn't win, went. But then one of the judges of that, like the same thing, like someone, with power and influence saw our pitch and was like, wow, like, and then read the script. It was like,
Wow.
I really dig this. So my company's gonna option it. And to shorten the story, there's this period of time where my script is optioned by a production company and it's 2.5 years. And during that time, the project, I'm not that involved with it. I'll just like kind of leave it at that. It's just like, it takes a lot of different iterations. I'm kind of like, okay, I gotta
Is
go
it
write another
possible at
movie.
this point that you're not going to direct it or act on it?
At first I was gonna direct it, and then I was not. I was never gonna act on it. And by the way, like I'm not really an actor. I don't desire to act unless it's like, some perfect part for me, and I don't know. But that's not like my mission.
Mm-hmm.
And uh so never was I gonna act in it, but I was gonna direct it, and then I wasn't, and then during this time that I did feel kind of like, what am I doing here? I'm just like not participating in this really. I was still making shorts and I was still and editing and like sharpening my skills. And I also did for off the Tribeca thing, invited to participate or invited to apply in the Sundance Lab. I don't remember, but I did that. And I met so many great people there. It was really awesome. But specifically, the most pivotal or like important, I guess, connection I made was my mentor. It was assigned to me. Her name is Susanna Fogel. She's a great director. And we stayed in touch. And by the time I got the rights back, because that production company did not finance or make the movie,
Mm-hmm.
had the script back in May 2021. And Susanna like helped me put a team together a little bit. Like I still had that original Chicago producer, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking for someone in LA. Like Susanna connected me to this producer she worked with, who was awesome, and named Amanda Phillip. Chicago producer's name is Eugene. Amanda is the new person coming on, and she had not produced a feature yet, but was just like a hustler, super smart, super ambitious, and she found the financing within 6 months. And that in that period of time, basically what like enabled that to happen or sort of key moments were, first of all, off of Susanna, we started working with a casting director, Deanna Brigidi, who's awesome. And she was like working on spec because she loved the script. And so her first like opinion was kind of like this idea that you're going to get a big actor and it's going to finance your movie is kind of a fallacy. Like
Interesting.
and
Tell me more about that, because
yeah, like
that's a common conception though.
very common conception. What I have been told, many a time is like, and what I've witnessed is, um, the list of names that get a movie just straight up financed is like this big. It's like,
Yeah.
do you have one of the 5 most famous people in the world? Like, do you have like J-Lo, Sydney Sweeney? You know what I mean? Like, or what? Like the hottest, biggest actors. Um, and if not, like, you're probably not getting like millions of dollars
Yeah.
for your movie off of that. Um, and I think a lot of producers are out here like thinking that or like slinging that belief that like, oh, we just need to attach this person from this show and then like 5 other people, and it's like it's not usually enough.
I feel that it's
Yeah,
a way for people to stall, and I don't
yeah,
mean by in, even when they're not conscious of that they're stalling. I feel like there's a way to push things forward. That is, let's just put it out and
yeah,
see if we can get the attention of X, Y, or Z, and that way you can have a meeting in a month and check in, and then that month becomes a year and you haven't
yeah,
gone anywhere. And
yeah,
the whole structure is hopefully trying to make something, but they're that's that's the only strategy they're down to, really.
Totally. And I usually like when a producer if there's a point where a producer starts to be like, yeah, okay, here's our new strategy. You get the most famous person to you get Anne Hathaway or something. And as soon as that moment hits, I'm like, that is to me, and this is just my belief, it's just like that's when they don't have strategies anymore. And it's just like it's on you to like go find a super famous person and like and if it's not and if you can't, it's like cuz your script isn't there yet. Like maybe it's not there yet, but I feel like when the things start to feel like we'll just make the script good enough to make the most famous person want to do it, that's when I start to feel like, okay, you just are out of ideas. Like, you don't know who to go to with this. You don't know how to package it. You don't know how to market it. Like, I understood, you know?
Which is so often the case, by the way,
Yeah.
because nobody, I mean,
friends say that all the time. Yeah.
nobody has a strategy right now. It's so hard.
Yeah. And so basically,
I
that
interrupted you in the casting process. So.
No, yeah. So this casting director was like, here's the thing, like, you know, this find a star mentality is like kind of flawed. So we actually think that you should act in it because we think that like you being the writer, director, auteur voice of this, and it's you and it's your story, that's like actually maybe more interesting to indie investors. And I was very shocked by this. And it's not like I said, I wasn't this like super driven actor or anything. I had acted in some of my own tiny shorts that like no one had seen. And also I did like comedy in college. Like, but I'm not I'm not trying to say like, oh my God, I've never seen the light of day and I'm an action feature, but at the same time, like I'm not an actor. So I was freaked out. But also like because I had done shorts.
Yeah. Terrifying, yeah.
Yeah, but also like I had made a bunch of shorts in Chicago with the same DP, Jason Chu. He's great. And I was like often acting and he, you know, it was me and him. So I actually was kind of really used to this workflow of like, he shoots the thing and I direct it and act in it. And I was like, all right, well, we can just we can plug us into this movie and like, and get it done. You know, and I would recommend that to anyone going into their first, like, you know, big press or just anything. Anytime you can establish a great dynamic and set yourself up for the next thing with that same dynamic, it's like amazing. So
100%. It's like trying to find certain normalcy and familiarity among a process that it isn't. And it's just that,
yeah.
And in my experience, like the short to the feature, just the amount of days that it takes to get the feature off the ground and how fragmented the script gets by having to shoot not in order because it's never the case you can, like that alone can create so much disarray. That's such a different beast than a short that if you have something that you can keep the same, that is excellent, because otherwise it's very foreign. It's very foreign than a short. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point I'm attached. I'm cast myself, and then we cast J. Smith Cameron next. Deanna, the casting director, like helped us with that and got us, you know, to her, and she's
amazing. I mean, she's amazing. This is before Succession or during?
This is like during Succession. This is like maybe between seasons it's either between 1 and 2 or I think maybe 2 and 3.
Because she blows up, I think, in 3. Like her character becomes super prominent in Succession in season 3, right? So this is right when she's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's like really having a moment with Succession, which is obviously becoming this huge hit of a show. And she was, you know, excited to do the movie, and we start filling out the other cast with a lot of great people. And then it's like kind of coming down to casting her husband, my character's dad, and I have like definitely a clear idea of what I want for the role, but I also think like I'm thinking like what's attainable. Like it's not the biggest part of the movie. Like this thought that of course all the producers want of like let's get someone famous like to do it. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, but also like let's be realistic here. It's like, you know, number 7 on the call sheet. No, it's not number 7, but it's like it's not the lead role, and it's not the lead parent. So that said, like I do think it's a rich role just because there's not
Yeah.
like tons of screen time. Like it's not just like a punchline role either. It's complicated. So like we definitely want like a real actor, like not just some comedian to come in and like say the jokes. And so with Steve, it was Jay's idea. And Jay's like, well, have you thought about him? And I was like, I mean, no, because he'll like what? And then, uh, and I mean, I'm obviously like such a fan my whole life. But they had played they played a married couple in this movie called Nancy. They came out
Mm.
at this point like 7 or 8 years ago. I'm not sure, but it
So they
stars
know each other
yes, they
already.
knew each other. Andrea Riseborough is their like daughter, like a long lost anyway, whatever. So it's cool. But they're married in that movie and I had not seen it at the time, but uh Jay could like contact him and be like, hey, you should read the script. And then also we had a producer, Rachel Gold, who like had some sort of connection to him, like a friend of a friend, and he was shooting something else. So he was like, okay, I'm like interested in this, but like, and he and I FaceTime, and we hit it off. He's super down to earth. I mean, the fact that he would do a movie like this in Chicago, I think says a
How
lot
was
about
that?
just like,
Tell me a little bit about
yeah,
the moment when you met him, because he's a legend. Steve Buscemi is a legend. A legend. You're saying like you said you weren't expecting to act in the show, like then suddenly
yeah,
becomes. I feel alongside this actors, it becomes a thing. Like now you're a
hmm
leading role on a big cast. Like part of what the
yeah,
movie, part of the story of the movie is the cast. I think. Right,
right,
like the part of
right,
what the first thing as an audience that strikes you is like, oh, this is an indie, but it's a proper indie. Like this is
right,
a proper movie that just by the fact that they're there, it just
yeah,
guarantees that you're going to be in for a ride. And I mean, they're so amazing, and Steve is such a grounding force. Like he's such a
yeah,
great character. It's so special, so
he's,
nuanced. The little
yeah,
thing he does is perfect, I would say.
yeah,
So I'm curious to know, okay, you're FaceTiming for the first time, and what is your
yeah,
strategy? Like what are you gonna do? What are you
yeah.
gonna tell him? What are the moments before you meet him?
I
Like,
mean, the movie was so ingrained into my veins. Like I was trying to make this thing for a zillion years. It was my whole life, whole focus, whole like brand, as icky as that sounds. I'm like making mental illness memes on the internet. It's kind of like just all I know. It's like yeah, none of it's all real. Like it's just like I'm really just living this day to day, like dealing with this thing and like trying to make the movie, and that's all I'm doing. And so I don't know. I would say a lot of the time, a lot of what happened with this process was like I often didn't have the time to be self-conscious or nervous because I was doing so many things.
it's part of it.
I think I would have been more nervous if I was just directing. But because I'm in every scene and I'm bald and I'm wearing a wig and I'm like getting my makeup done, like I just did not have the mental capacity to be also self-conscious. I didn't have it in me, so I'm just like, let's just like we gotta just do this and power through and make our days and like um also I'm just like not I'm a pretty like I guess it's kind of like I know who I am and people like that about me and that's I think why they do stuff with me. Why they cuz I just think that's part of it. Like I just think that if you as a director, anyone like approaching someone to collaborate with, whether they're like famous or not, you're just kind of like not like just treat them like a peer, you know? It's not like they're your idol and you're like begging them to do like it's just talk to them like a human, be confident in yourself, and that's kind of where my head was at and I'm just the whole time I'm just like I'd be like so lucky if these people want to do this, but if they don't, like I gotta figure out who the next person is. Like I gotta get it done, you know?
I have a question about that because you're saying that the mental illness was your identity and
Yeah,
something you know very well. Obviously,
yeah,
the film is full of texture of that. It's clearly a film of someone who's studied that and
hmm
understands and finds details on that story that a normal writer would have a very hard time, like normal as in someone who's removed from that experience will have a very hard time finding those little nuances and details. And
Yeah.
and I guess we're in an industry where, I mean, I feel we all struggle trying to project this authority
Mhm.
and success all the time.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and I understand that mental illness has been, we made strides into acceptance and people are more familiar with it. Maybe you tell me I'm wrong. It just sounds from an outsider's perspective, but it's still like, I think, very brave to just be so open about that and being so vulnerable in the movie, because you're now saying, you're laying your cards on the table in a way that you're saying, this is the things that I'm dealing with, and you still, and at the same time I have this body of work that is very serious, and I accomplish all these things. So now you're gonna have to trust me that I will make this movie and carry it on to
Yeah.
final completion, because of course making a movie is not nothing, right? It
Right.
really is
Right.
an assault of anyone's mental health.
I just had this like really specific perspective on it where I was just like, I think because I just had been such a part of my daily routine. It's like I can't even, it's like brushing your teeth. It's just like, it's so almost mundane. My treatment that I've now been in for 12 years, I think. It's like, it's just a second nature to me. And so this story, I just was really interested in exploring the corners of mental illness that aren't the most extreme ones. I mean, they're kind of in there too, but there's just a lot of stuff that's like more of the day to day, which I find relatable. And there are a lot of little annoying things, but I think the biggest aspect and the biggest hurdle for this character in the movie is to like become like become a person who's able to have relationships with other people that are like healthy. And that was my biggest journey as like a human being, like is like being able to have like like normal friendships, like because and relationships with my family, and take accountability for like things that I did that were like messed up, because I always had this perspective for the first half of my life or whatever where like I was a victim in like a really messed up world and no one understood me, and I just used humor as a constant defense mechanism. But then like something cracked finally, and I gained an awareness. Like I gained self-awareness, which I never had. And so that's a huge part. And it's really hard because people, of course, on the internet, it's like a lot of people love the movie. A lot of people have torn it apart. A lot of people are like, this character's so unlikable. Like, I cannot watch this movie. What an annoying bitch. And
Which is what you
I'm
want,
used
right?
to,
How do you
yeah,
get back to
yeah,
that? Isn't that
yeah.
what you want from a work of art? That it is
Yeah,
not.
it's cool
Which is
cause
kind
I'm
of,
saying like, if I said that going into this, I'm like, if you're not polarizing people with a sensitive topic, then you're not saying anything. Cause,
I agree.
you
I
know,
feel like the movie is relent. I mean, I get why people would say that, because the movie
yeah,
is relentless in
yeah,
that the character will do uh, what the character will do, and until
yeah,
the very end. This is
yeah,
and that's so refreshing for American cinema, not to be moralizing or to be
yeah,
patronizing or to just like, like art characters in perfection, when the characters are struggling with a lot of different
yeah,
things. Like, it's just not realistic that like a third act twist will just solve
yeah,
like mental health problems. It's just
yeah.
it's so human, and I'm glad that people reacted to it in a way.
Totally. I mean, it's like, it's hard, but I usually don't read reviews because I'm like, I can't engage with that. But I, like, unless someone's like, read this amazing review. But, no, I think, I think too, it's just a good representation to have, unlikable,
Yes.
I don't know how to call it that. It's like unconventional
Yeah.
or unsavory or unladylike, whatever, like female leads
And Lady Like is
specifically.
a great name for it. Like, it's an
Yeah.
alternative name for the movie.
Yeah, unladylike. How about unlady bird? Because like bird was definitely
That could be a next one.
I had unlady bird a lot when we were like back in the day when I was whatever developing it. People were like, "So it's ladybird?" I'm like, "Not exactly." But yeah, so it's been like weird, but I just like I'm feel like even though I'm 31, it's not like I'm just, veteran or whatever, but I really have I'm kind of a little bit immune to like people saying shit. The thing that gets under my skin is when people are like, this is actually inaccurate about bipolar disorder, because I know that's not true. Here's the thing that I learned from making memes on the internet for 5 years is like, everyone's really scared who's like being treated for mental illness. They're like, wait, and including me, it's like, wait, I'm on 5 medications. Is that normal? Like, should I have these side effects? I don't know who to relate to, and I don't know who to talk to. And I just have a doctor who like feeds me meds, and I'm scared. And so everyone's like sort of looking for something relatable to latch onto, to wonder if they're like doing it right. And I always want to say, like, first of all, these things look different in everybody. There's no one way to do it. Like, I take medication among doing other things, but I do take meds. That doesn't mean they're right for everybody. That, that doesn't mean everyone should take them or even try them. But like, the point is just to like do something for yourself that works for you, because you owe it not only to yourself, but the people who love you and who work with you and who like are in your orbit. And that's just how to have a better quality of life ultimately. Like, I can't imagine where I would be. I honestly I don't think I'd be alive right now if I hadn't like gotten my shit together. So it's like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in a way, you learn to communicate your experience through memes, which is such a contemporary way of talking to the world.
I'm such a millennial.
Fascinating. Yeah, you're kind of like, no, but it is in a way. I mean, if the meme resonates, it becomes it means that it's a universal experience, because there's not, something more universal than that. I want to go back to the journey of making the movie. So you shoot. How many shoot days did you have?
We had a luxuriously long shoot. Like, it was, I want to say 24 or 25 days.
A good amount for that movie. Not too much. I mean, I mean, enough to do it right. You can tell, like, you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then.
Yes.
How long
well,
were you
it's also like, I needed that extra cushion because I'm directing. So it's like, everything takes longer because I'm, I barely
talk about that. I couldn't fathom the mechanics of that. Like, you are, I mean, you trust your DP enough that they know.
Yeah.
But then you do the scene and then you see playback for the whole scene?
No. I am just in the scene. I actually don't really know how most things look on camera during the process, but I know the script so well, and it's so fine-tuned, and it's like I could recite the whole thing by heart, and I feel that it's good. Like, I'm like,
but it's good. It's so funny.
Thank you.
No, but
like, trust the script, trust the actors, and I can see within a scene, like, whether I'm standing behind a monitor or not, if I can tell when the performances feel electric and good. And if we get that, even if I don't exactly know what the shot's gonna look like, I'm like, okay, we got it. Like, I know we have that, so we can move on, But it's crazy. It's a crazy process, and it's very scary to like not watch a lot of playback for sure.
It sounds terrifying. I have a question, because I think as a writer director, so many times you're faced with the limitations of the scene that you wrote when you put it in action. You don't even rehearsals won't cut it as much as really putting the scene and blocking it in front of a camera and then setting it in motion. And sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're left in doubt if it's the actors or it's the writing. You're everything here. So you're responsible for everything. So A, have you ever found that during the process where a scene didn't work and you rewrote it on the fly? And B, have you learned writing? Like, was that an insightful experience for you as a writer, to putting that whole movie in place and acting in it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, kind of goes back to like feeling the energy. I mean, I'm in almost every scene, so I can I feel when something's funny in the way that I know that it should be. Like, and I'm not a joke writer. I'm like a situational humor kind of person. So you can just feel it. And but when you can't feel it, or like when it feels weird or scripted or something, mainly it's just very easy after when they call cut to like be like, hey, let's rework it, or let's try like this. I'm a person who's like open to actors' suggestions. Now, I don't really like improv, personally. And I think that's part of it is the editor, I just, cause I'm like, here's the thing. I'm like, if we get the script and we got it and we have extra time, great. And also like, I'm a fan of improv that happens after you've after you finish the last line and you keep going and then you get some magic gems at the
Yes.
end because Steve and Jay are like riffing with each other and being hilarious.
Like
That's
bookends.
cool. Yeah, I just don't like changing all the stuff up because I think it's just messy and like hard to keep track of. And I'm like, I know what I want. So like, I'm not saying that you guys won't come up with something better, but I do know that I really need to see this the way it is.
So the
But
adjustments
yeah.
won't be changes in the writing or changes in lines, but it will be more the intention, the direction, and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like I felt pretty, yeah, I would say so. I also what was very useful is to like have an editor starting during the shoot because
Mm.
one of the key moments, or very useful moments was we had this scene that was like we just did not have time. It was at a school track, like it's pouring rain. It's just a disaster. We have no time. We had this Steadicam malfunction and basically there's this long conversation of two people walking and it's super long. There's no other coverage. There's no other thing to cut to. It's raining. It looks horrible. And it's like an important scene. So I'm like, actually, let's have the editor skip ahead, cut that scene like tomorrow. Like, I want to see a
Mm.
pass of that scene. Like, and I'm doing this kind of shit at the end of the day, like at like 10 o'clock when I'm in my
Of
Airbnb,
course.
but I'm just like, let me see that scene. Like he puts it together. I'm like, yeah, this is, and then I gave him notes. He did it again. And then we're just like, yeah, this is going to stick out like a sore thumb in the movie. First of all, it looks bad. Second of all, it's not great. So we decide in the process to cut the scene and there's key like details related to the plot that are in there that I rewrote another scene to then contain those. So that was like really good because, if I hadn't done that, we would have just relied on that scene and there'd be a really like kind of shitty long scene in the movie that's not in it now.
The ability to reshoot is sometimes the difference between making it work or letting it die. Really, it's so
Yeah.
important and it's a luxury at the same time. So having an editor on set like really makes
Yeah.
sense and makes a difference for sure.
We didn't have any
So
pickups at all. We had no reshoots, no pickups. We just like didn't have a budget. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so you premiered Tribeca.
Mhm.
Did you know that you would premiere there? Were you expecting
Yeah.
that because of the labs? So it was a done deal, or you were surprised
Yeah.
by it?
It was like they were like aware of the project because we'd done some stuff and then someone knew one of the producers or financiers from Level Forward. That was the main financier production company, Level Forward. And that I don't know, someone was able to like be in contact with them and be like, and we showed them like a rough cut of the movie,
Hmm.
like an assembly cut or something, and they were like, they offered us a spot. This was in like January or maybe like the festival's in June. And so this whole time, which like, usually in my experience just with shorts, it's like you're working on finishing post and you're grinding on that, and then you finish and you're like, okay, like now what? We submit it to a zillion festivals and wait 5 years to see if it gets in anywhere. But with this, it was like the festival is this date. It's at the end of whatever. We have to finish the movie, like because
Hmm.
it has to premiere at Tribeca,
Hmm.
and we only have this long to do all these things. Like we actually delivered the DCP to the festival like 3 days before our premiere.
Oh my God, nerve-wracking.
It was so crazy. Like it
So
was
in a
really
way,
crazy.
you saw it for the first time in a big screen on the premiere.
Yeah, I mean, I had seen it like doing no, yeah, a proper big screen, yes. Of course I'd seen it in like
A
testing the
million
sound
times.
and yeah, we'd like rent in a theater to test the sound and like,
But did you
and
test it
also
with an audience or something
yeah, I
before?
did a test screening. Can't recommend that enough, especially if you're doing a
Yeah,
comedy. Like it's imperative. It's like put that in your budget from the beginning to rent
100%.
the theater and do that. Like
What did you learn from the test screening?
really good things. Like basically a lot of it, I mean, first of all, just listening to what people like laughed at was really key. There was kind of this stupid, but like there was this framing device with like the seasons where like there was supers on screen, whatever, and like people were like, what is this? I don't get it. And also
Mm.
people were like, time feels really weird in this movie because it's supposed to
Mm.
be a year. And so we're like, let's get rid of that. And like it sure enough, now you don't really question time passing when you're watching it. So anyway, like
I mean,
What
there's
else?
the little nice
Yeah,
details that tells you the time. Like she grew, like she cuts her hair, she shaves her
yeah,
head, then she grows her hair, and only that detail like tells you clearly that time has passed. You don't even have.
totally. Like our like snow is like a pile of cotton in the background shot. It's like crazy. So, the late of course there's like the Christmas tree and one like, it's kind of the indie time passing, but yeah, it's like um so that was like a key thing, and then just like, I think it's just good for me to always know how people are perceiving all characters. It's like when people are like, I don't really get the brother, like why is he like, and we're like, okay, well, let's figure that out. And basically, like, I'm a huge note taker. I love notes, so I like to compile a million notes and see how did I get that one 5 times and that one time. Like, what is the and so Harrison and I kind of just gathered a ton of data, analyzed the shit out of it, and then he's like this kind of master of, I've heard him call it, chiropractic editing, which is like
I'm like that. That is such a great. Yeah, it's a perfect.
great.
It's perfect. The image is
No,
clear.
because he's like, someone will say that like they don't like the beginning, but it's actually an issue with the end. And then you fix that and that note goes away. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
There's something about accumulative notes for me that is like there's noise because everyone
Yeah.
has an opinion about
Yeah.
something and it's about their movie they wanted to make, not yours.
Yeah.
Until like some notes start accumulating and that creates patterns. And then in the patterns,
Yeah.
you can start seeing, okay, this is and sometimes that's the general consensus may go against what you want to do, and that's fine. But at least you have the information to say, all right, this is how the movie is perceived in this areas, and it's up to you to change it. But it's hard
It's
to read
great.
through. Like it's hard to just
Yeah.
decide because the noise is there.
And I think the things that were important to evaluate on the fundamental level are like, is it funny? Are people getting engaged with it right away? Are they getting dropped into it right away? Are they following the main character, and do they ultimately have empathy for her in the end? Those are like the main like boxes that had to be ticked. So that was just so important to do a test screening. And also like, I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to, they screen it for like all their cinephile friends or their filmmaker friends. I'm like, you got to be showing it to people who like are random people and also who don't know you, who like don't care about you, and who maybe even like hate your movie, and then listen to what they have to say, because there is value in that. Like, it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not an echo chamber. You should like like really seek the like harsh criticism and see how you feel about it.
Which will come because I think anyone that watches a movie without any context hates it for the next first 5 minutes. And at
Yeah.
least I am like, okay, I fucking hate this. Like, you better
Yeah.
show something. And then you start understanding that you're in good hands and that you're
Yeah.
going to be carried on in a journey that is fun.
Hmm.
So I understand that if you get people that have no love for you, then you're going to get the
Yeah.
best quality data.
Yeah. No, definitely. And there's a lot of people who don't have love for me. So it's
Well, yeah, I guess there's a lot of people in this world. So by the time you premiere the movie, do you have? I'm gonna keep asking some stupid
no, ask
industry
the nuts and
questions,
bolts. Please do it.
because it's such an you're coming from a place of an outsider, and then now you're doing
Yeah.
a movie, you're premiering a movie in Tribeca with like very high profile actors. You are suddenly, you like it or not, you become the front face of this movie. So you become an actor. You become known as an actor, I guess. You've been
Yeah.
going to be treated as an actor. How is the experience of the festival? How does people receive it, and how is that journey?
Um, a blur. Truthfully, it was like the most
Good,
heightened.
fair.
Like, I can't even like.
It's a manic
So
experience.
stressful. It was manic. It was so stressful, but it was also so like incredible and like glamorous. And I just couldn't even wrap my head around it. I mean, Billy just pursuing something for like a decade at this point. I'm like, what? But how it was received, we sold out. We had 3 screenings. They all sold out, and I went to all of them, and like everyone was laughing in all 3 different theaters. It was
Of
really
course.
great. We started off with some like rough reviews, and so that was like really worrisome for me.
Really? From whom?
Yeah, and they were mainly like, there was one that came out like before the premiere, because we did get a bunch of trades reviews, but that didn't come till later, like till we sold the movie. For the Tribeca like premiere and that moment, it had very divided and maybe leaning more so not good reviews.
Hmm.
And the very first one, which they like did, I wish I could burn this person. Not physically,
We can
but
still do it.
no, like, but they basically like, I think there's some sort of point of code or etiquette or I don't know what it is where you're not supposed to post a review of a movie till
Like an
maybe like
embargo.
it premieres. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Okay. So
And they did.
and they did like far before the movie came out, and it was really, really scathing. It was like a small blog I had never heard of, but of course it's on Rotten Tomatoes. So they were like, this is not bipolar disorder. This is like a bunch of like, they were really critical of my portrayal, and that was the only thing. You Google a movie, that was out there. And like they said the filmmaker clearly doesn't like, or something like the filmmaker clearly doesn't have bipolar disorder. So even my producers reached out to this person and were like, "Hey,
You're wrong.
like you're wrong." And there's a press kit that's attached to the movie, and you're supposed to look at it as like a member of the press. And you would see that that's plastered at the top based on a true story. Like, what's up? And they were just like, "Yeah, I wrote it late at night. I was really tired." Like, they don't give a shit. Like,
I
it
think
was so crazy.
I think there's a hell reserved for critics that destroy an indie movie about bipolar disorder made by someone who had bipolar disorder, and they claim that they don't. Like, I think that you go to a special kind of hell.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that they go there, and also to just do so. Cherry on top is to do so flippantly and with no care, and to just be like, "Oh yeah, whoops, my bad." It's like if you're gonna be a dick, at least do so with passion. You know what I mean? Like, but to just be like, like burning me, and then to not even like do it conscious. I mean, it was just crazy. So whatever. I mean, this is what we're going into our premiere with this like is the only thing. And again, there's so much noise at the festival. No one is paying attention. Even though our movie is like one of the competition films, it's just like what no one like knows who I am, or they're not like really paying attention. It's just chaos. It's like it's like so yeah, it's just a festival. It's a huge festival in a huge city. And that was really fun. Something I really love about Tribeca is that people who live in a city normally can just go.
Yeah. Not only filmmakers. Yeah, you get some real people to watch your movie, which is so rare because
like, not everyone can afford to go to like Colorado or Park City, or you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know. It was cool. But yeah, Tribeca was really fun. Like I really, but also like I spent a lot of time in my hotel room doing press and being very scared. But ultimately it was super fun.
And so you don't sell from the festival, right?
No, we don't sell from the festival. We have like a couple offers that are like a 20th of the budget or something at this point. So we're like, and by the way, for what it's worth, the budget is 1.1 million. And,
wow, it looks more.
Thank you.
No, it does.
We went over budget, but not that far. But I think it's good to, I mean, I always get yelled at, so like, don't talk about it. Like, well, I'm like, what's the point?
Some people love that it's funny when you do a movie that is I did a movie that is at 1/10 of that budget, a feature. Mm-hmm. Some people think that it's like you should flaunt it because like, okay, I can do this movie that got distributed with this amount of money. And some people are like, no, pretend you made it for 10 million so you can do another one for 20 million. It's the kind of bullshit narratives that
I can't even, literally, don't get me started on my whole rant about, it's not a rant, but it's like the way that like people have kind of like been, not everyone, but some filmmakers like are like make me feel like I am some like bougie bitch who got like super lucky overnight, and I have celebrities, and that's why I have funding. It's like, well, first of all those actors worked for scale, and we had financing before they came on board. So why don't you just chill? And also, like, this took me a million years to do, and I made a million shorts for no money, and I'm not criticizing you for not paying your crew anything.
I understand. What is the criticism that you made a movie with like a decent budget? Is that the criticism? What is the criticism?
Like, yeah, the criticism is like what you're kind of saying of like the badge of honor of making something low budget I think a lot of people in that camp look at someone who made a movie for more money and kind of like resent them. Like, I don't know.
So they bitch. They're not really criticizing anything. They're just like moaning. Okay.
No, and I sound probably stupid saying that, but that is my opinion. I have felt that. I've been on a panel where like every other movie was made for under 100K, and I felt self-conscious being like, well,
No.
what if,
This time.
my shoot was 4 times as long as yours? Yeah, like I feel, what do you want me to say? Like, that's the truth.
No, and I gotta say, and there's a pressure that comes with a budget like a normal budget that people that are spending less money don't experience. I say
By
this,
the
we gave
way,
my feature was
oh, sorry.
100K, so I'm in
That's
that camp of
amazing.
like, and the pressure would have been 3 times if I had the million, and I'd done
Yeah,
projects with
well,
more money, and
yeah,
they're nerve-wracking because you're managing like, so it, I mean, if anything, it talks about your
right.
stamina and your ability to navigate that kind of pressure.
Well, also, like, if at any point in my 7 years, someone had been like, here's 200K to go make a movie with, I would have been like, great, I will go do that. Like, no one, like, the people that came on board, like, had a vision of it at this budget, and that's what we did, and it worked out. And so that's, it's just like, you take what you ultimately get, and that is what happened. And anyway, I'm not like, I'm sound
No, I'm
defensive,
impressed.
but
The movie looks more expensive, if nothing, because the actors are so famous. So the fact that you managed to do it with that budget, it really speaks to your ability to pull it off. So it's quite the opposite. So
yeah.
you were, in terms of so after the festival,
Right.
you already had reps, like you already have agents and managers
Yes.
and everything, or you
No, I
got
don't
it
have
at the
agents at
festival?
this point. Yeah, I got managers before the movie shot, but
Okay.
yeah, before the movie was greenlit. So I haven't really like worked with them at this point. They're just kind of there and we're connected. And so then but they're great. The movie didn't sell out of Tribeca, and well, we got offers. They were really like much less than our budget. So the financiers, I mean, I was kind of just like, I have no say in this. Like, I didn't finance the movie. Like, I, they're like trying to make their money back, understandably. So what was cool is that like one of our producers, and we had a sales agent, and they were just kind of like, yeah, this is what is offered to you. Like, take what you can get. Bye. I think a lot of sales agents are like not concerned with any movies because they're not getting much of the cut. So they don't really have an incentive to bust their ass for 2 years to find you like, $100,000 more money that they're getting like $2 off. Like they just don't have, they're not incentivized, and I understand it, but it was one of our financier, producer, EP people, Adrienne Becker, who I don't exactly know how, but she like brokered the deal with Peacock. Like it wasn't our sales agent. She just kind of was digging around. She's like, no, we cannot sell this movie till we have something that's like not laughable. So she somehow got the deal with Peacock, and then because Peacock like put in an offer, we got Gravitas to absorb basically Gravitas. So Gravitas acquired the movie and then licensed it to Peacock. That's like the flow of, but Gravitas came on because Peacock was there first.
And it's
So
on
they
VOD as well, right?
yes,
I
exactly.
rented it in VOD. You probably should
Right.
have a couple dollars in your account. I don't know if you got them because of I rented the movie. It's my treat.
Yeah, I probably got 10 cents. I'm excited. Thank you for renting it. But yeah, exactly. So like with Gravitas being there, that it can be on VOD, and Amazon, etc. So that was great. And then obviously it's streaming on Peacock, and that was that was kind of like a waiting it out in a way game of just continuing to hunt for offers. I don't know how she had the stamina to do it, but she did. And we still haven't sold all of our international rights. It's now at this point, it's been like, I don't know, a year and a half, but they are selling them off, and I think they're decently far, and maybe they'll come out worldwide next year or something. At that point, like, I'll probably be dead. So,
Worldwide domination. So you are in the process of this sell, and then you immediately go back to work, which is very admirable from you because it feels that a lot of people after a success like that, by all means, it is a success. Like you are in Tribeca, then you are clearly, you're now selling the movie. So you're in the game, but you instead go back to work and do a short. And I'm very interested at that because I feel like a lot of people will just start getting the general meetings tour forever. You get in that train that will never get to the station. Like you get to take 100 million meetings out of that movie and try to get something off the ground and forget about being a director because you are just now just meeting people. And so tell me about that decision. When do you, were you doing a lot of general meetings? Were you playing that game? And when do you decided, no, I got to get back to work?
I was coming off the movie in 2022. My manager sent it far and wide and got me a lot of great meetings, but it's exactly what you're describing. Like, I was doing all these meetings and I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I just was like, okay, wait, so does this mean someone wants me to make, like, I didn't understand that, like, it's kind of meaningless. Not meaningless, but you know what I mean. Like, it's, so basically it was, and I don't know if you felt this, but like, once I had made the feature, I really was like, okay, I'm graduating to something else. I'm like not making shorts anymore. Like it's just like it's a lot of work for something that like I'm not gonna get paid for, and I'm gonna spend a lot of money on, and I also am like no one is gonna see it, like probably so I was just like, I don't know. I'm like love short films, but I was like, okay, how do I want to make money. Like that's my goal, is to be a professional filmmaker, and I'm tired of making no money. You know what I mean? Like I can't do this full time for a million years and make no money, because that's been my life and it's just not fun. And then like, why I need to get a different job then. So anyway, whatever. So that was kind of my stance. But then like my true core myself is just as I always was in my 20s, was like, I just like making stuff. And when I'm not making stuff, I feel powerless. I don't like to just have a script that I'm like toting around town for 5 years. Like I need to always be making something to feel active and inspired and stimulated. And so when I got to the point where it was the strike and like the movie kind of finally was out in the world and like press was over and like we didn't get nominated for like an indie spirit award, but that had been like a whole thing where we were trying for that. Like it was just all the stuff was over. It was like the movie was out, all the campaigns, all the press, like it was finally over. And actually it just gave me a second to breathe and was like, okay, like the year between happened, like okay, what's next? Like, and I just wrote the scripts just one day, like for fun. And I was thinking about making something, and I am building a dollhouse. So it's like, really, it's all here. And I had this interaction. Yeah. So Holiday House is kind of based on true story too, where I like stalked this person on the internet. Non-violently.
Give me the log line again for Holiday House, which is your short that I met you in Aspen with.
Yeah. So the log line for Holiday House is like, a content creator feels obligated to let her benefactor visit her workshop. It's a little wordy, but it's basically like, yeah, a girl feels like she has this obsessed fan and he asks to come visit and she like says yes. And the short is like their visit. And also I had met Anna Sophia Robb at Sundance, just going for fun, and I really liked her. I just started return to my roots because I was not doing anything in my apartment, and it felt very amazing to do it. I loved working on it. It was so fun the whole time.
And don't you feel like sometimes the shorts are even more competitive than the features? Like in a way, when you have a proper feature that you work on, it almost has more possibilities than a short that you compete. I think that you were against 12,000 shorts this year for selections or something like that. It's a crazy amount of shorts, especially I think of the strikes. People were doing a lot of shorts because a lot of people like us were just trying to get things done. It was impossible. So a lot of shorts this year. And so I bet that it was amazing that short cut through the noise as well.
Yeah, it was really crazy. It was, again, made for no budget, and it was just like kind of weird. And it's a little bit weird in tone. So it's like it's not really a comedy at all, and but it's kind of funny, and I just it's kind of a thriller, but it's like non-violent. So I don't know, but just kind of weird and something I didn't know how to classify. And I was like, I don't know who this is for. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's compelling, but I'm just not exactly sure who this would like this. Whereas like I watched The Year Between or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I understand who the audience for this is. Like, and I could list other movies in a category where I'd be like, oh, you like this, you would like this, and this. Holly House, I was a little bit more like, I'm not really sure, like, what to even. I think of like Lars and the Real Girl, or like,
Mm.
I'm not sure, um, but I submitted it to yeah, Aspen was the first. I mean, submitted it to like South by Southwest. It got rejected, and then it got into Aspen, which then I think once it gets into one place, like I mean, you had a film in Sundance, which is the most epic. So it's like you get it, like
Aspen is the next batch. Like I think Aspen was the second festival I got in, and those were the two big festivals. Like I didn't.
mm,
It was not that I got into all the others. I think that there are those kind of crazy shorts that get into like all the big festivals, like they do South
mm.
by and Sundance. They're those rare things which didn't happen to me, but I was content with like Sundance was a good experience.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And so tell me what is next. I would love to close by asking you what are you planning on, and what is the new strategy for 25, 26? It was survived in 25, and now it's stay in the mix until 26. It's they keep doing the stupid rhymes, and we're stuck in like this
Oh
hell.
my God. Crazy. Yeah, I think so. I made two more shorts this past year.
Of
Which
course you did.
I know it's so cursed. I just was
That's
like, I
amazing.
got it.
That's
It's
incredible.
so, which I want to send to you outside of this.
I'd love to
You
chat.
can give me your feedback. But yeah, I submitted those to some festivals to see if it gets anywhere. But other than that, like that's been again just more passion projects. One of them is very much a proof of concept for a feature I want to do about a high school debate team. Um,
That's a good one.
and yeah, and Jay acted in the short with Kenneth Lonergan, her husband, who's cool, obviously. And they're great. And I think like basically here's the real unfiltered. It's not even nothing to filter, but I have like two smaller budget, like you're between level budget, maybe a little more movies that I've written that are like weird, and they're like more of like holiday house world. I also have like a really big budget like comedy that I would love to like I'd love to direct it, but I'd also be happy, very content to like sell it to a studio because I really need to make some money. Like that is my fucking focus for this year is to figure out how to do that. And that's just that's the real tea.
It's a worthy pursuit, and I think that you should direct it, though. The studio should buy you as a director because honestly, it's clear that you prove yourself in all these projects. You're mature enough to do something big. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. Um, it's
I don't know,
happened
but
before. It happened before.
I'm gonna stick it out, you know what I mean? As long as I can, I'm gonna like just keep like plugging away and like I think the survive till 2025 is it's kind of always been my mantra is just like survive as long as you can. If you have like enough
The next step.
talent, something will happen eventually. You just have to literally just like not quit. And that's kind of been my game for a decade is like nothing has happened overnight, but I've just kind of stuck it out and kept climbing and meeting people and rewriting. Like the year between was 15 drafts of the script, I think people don't work on their writing maybe sometimes as much as they
100%.
should. You know what I
Like,
mean?
are you telling this to me?
No, I'm not.
No, but I'm guilty of that. No, but it's true. Like you start a script and you don't want to face the reality that you're gonna be writing for a couple of years if it's any good.
Yeah,
Just then
like
now in 3 months I can turn a script. Well, yeah, but no, it's not gonna be great.
totally. And I think sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, no one wants my script, so I'll write a different one." But sometimes it's like, "But maybe there's something there, and you could make it better and bring that thing out to I don't know."
I feel that tip is a great place to end it. Uh, the conversation. And I want to thank you so much for being here and giving us your time. It's been great.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's been so fun to talk to you and an honor. And I also hope we talk more.
Let's do it.